In the quiet, sun-soaked fields of Roque Perez, a small town nestled deep in the Buenos Aires province, a young Ricardo Julio Villa began his long and winding path to footballing immortality. Like so many boys born into rural life in Argentina, Villa grew up with a ball at his feet, the trees and fences of the family farm serving as his first opposition. What Villa likely never imagined, as he weaved his way through those natural obstacles, was that his deft touch and languid style would one day dazzle the frenzied crowds at Wembley Stadium, culminating in one of the most celebrated goals in FA Cup history. That goal, one of those rare moments that transcend sport, taking on a life of its own in the memories of those who witnessed it, came on a cool May evening in 1981. The setting could not have been more dramatic. Tottenham Hotspur, rebuilding themselves after the humiliation of relegation just 4 years earlier, were facing Manchester City in a replay of the FA Cup final. The first encounter had ended in a 1-1 stalemate, a match in which Villa, substituted in the 68th minute, left the pitch not with the steady jog of a man in control, but with the shame of a player who knew he had let the occasion overwhelm him.
What about that for a sad and sorrowful sight? Ricky Villa, World Cup man with Argentina, thought today could be one of the most memorable days of his life.
He headed straight to the dressing room, his head hanging low, as whispers swirled about whether manager Keith Birkinshaw would trust him again. Such moments define careers. Some players never recover from the brutal glare of failure, the scrutiny too great, the confidence too shaken. But for Villa, the replay represented an opportunity not merely to atone for past errors, but to inscribe his name in the history of English football in a way that few foreign players had ever done before. By 1981, the idea of foreign players gracing the English game was still in its infancy.
Here's Villa. Villa shots! Oh! 3-0!
Villa, along with his compatriot Osvaldo Ardiles, had joined Spurs in 1978, fresh off Argentina's World Cup triumph. The signings raised eyebrows, not least because English football at the time was suspicious of the flair and perceived unpredictability of South American players. But Villa and Ardiles had brought with them a new dimension to Spurs' play. While Ardiles, with his boundless energy and intelligent passing, quickly became a favourite, Villa's performances were mercurial at best. One week, he would glide effortlessly through defenders, the ball seemingly glued to his feet. The next, he would drift through games like a ghost, anonymous and ineffective. In the first match of that FA Cup final, Villa had been all too absent, his erratic display contributing little to Spurs' efforts. Perryman's response was unequivocal. No, he shouldn't. But Birkinshaw, with the sort of intuition that separates good managers from great ones, decided otherwise. "I'm playing him," he told Perryman, and with that, Villa was handed his chance at redemption. Wembley Stadium, often described as the cathedral of English football, is where legends are born. On that Thursday night, under the gaze of 90,000 supporters, Villa seized his moment. The game had swung wildly, Tottenham taking an early lead through Villa himself. Before falling behind to a resilient City side. With the score poised at 2 each and the threat of extra time looming large, Villa picked up the ball some 25 yards from goal. What followed was not merely a goal but a masterclass in patience and poise, a kind of footballing choreography that rendered the ordinary extraordinary. He began by teasing his way past 2 defenders, seemingly intent on shooting with his left foot as he neared the penalty area. Yet, rather than rushing his opportunity, Villa paused. He toyed with Manchester City's defenders like a cat toying with a trapped mouse, feinting one way before doubling back, dancing past a second wave of challenges. By this point, the crowd was on its feet, voices raised in collective anticipation, urging Villa to shoot. Behind the play, Garth Crooks, Villa's teammate, was ready to strike it himself, his foot drawn back, as if telepathically connected to the ball. But Villa, with a calm that belied the chaos around him, waited. He took another touch, dragging the ball back just as the moment seemed lost. Then finally, at the perfect instant, he slipped his shot past the sprawling City goalkeeper Joe Corrigan. The ball nestled into the back of the net, and Wembley exploded. For Tottenham, the 3-2 victory was more than just an FA Cup triumph. It was a validation of their revival, a sign that they had truly returned to the elite of English football after the ignominy of relegation in 1977. And for Villa, it was an indelible moment of personal redemption, a reminder that in football, as in life, glory and despair often walk hand in hand. That goal, with its unique blend of audacity and artistry, was awarded the Wembley Goal of the Century in 2001. Villa, who would move on to play in the United States not long after that glorious night, could never quite escape its shadow. Even now, as he lives out his retirement back on the farm in Argentina where his journey began, fans approach him to relive that one fleeting moment when he held the world in his hands. It is said that football, like all sport, has an almost mystical power to capture the human experience in microcosm. That night at Wembley, with a few delicate touches of his feet, Ricky Villa did more than score a winning goal. He created a memory, one that would bind together not just the fans who were there, but all those who have since seen it replayed, again and again, as proof that sometimes the most beautiful things in football happen not in the great sweeping movements, but in the small moments of hesitation and grace.
The big man from Argentina went round 1, 2, 3. Joe Corrigan came to block, and Villa squeezed it in, as we see it again from behind the goal. Just look how many players he twisted and turned past.